but again, it's looking at your career and say, what kind of career do I want? I was really, really lucky at the beginning as I kind of forced got my way into this, where I was writing for a production company in Montreal doing documentaries for History Channel and Biography and TLC and all of these things. And occasionally somebody would walk in and say, Producer X is looking for somebody to fix this third act problem. And I'd go, what's a third act? I've got to research this.
Mhm.
And I think that was part of my success is I said yes to everything. I said yes to everything. An actor has dropped out of this project. They're African American. They're coming in. Can you do that? And I go, yeah, of course I could do that. Not knowing anything about it, right? And just try to go in and kind of fudge as much as possible. But which I would absolutely dread reading any first drafts that I've done, in the early days. But I said yes to everything, and I learned a hell of a lot. And 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 if I didn't know anything, I would say yes to it and figure it out. I would go out and really do the research on that one little bit. And I think that's what made me kind of progress really quickly within that organization, that production company in Montreal, was that I was relentless in terms of writing and research. Now, this is no longer the case, by the way. I'm an incredibly lazy writer, but I wasn't back then, quite a lot. Um,
You were a machine. I know when we were doing that slate, but then also I was moving some of the stuff around the Red Rock idea
mhm.
and some of the producing circles that we were kind of dealing with. I mean, the number of ideas and spec ideas you were generating was, yeah, it was a mad pace.
It was, and I never stopped. I would finish a project at 11 o'clock and go, great. I would mail it in, and have a sandwich and start on something else that day. It's just an hour later, and I would just roll them over and over and over again.
Yeah,
I don't know why I did that. Well, I couldn't help it because I love it so much, right? All of it, every single story that comes your way, even if it's just a minimal log line, um, feels like a possibility. And if you develop that properly, then it becomes a world in its own. Whatever that looks like, even if it's somebody running away from the police and hiding in a block tenement, or somebody, in trenches in the Second World War, suddenly that world grows. And all you have to do is write 1945, June 6th on a page and go, shit, I'm there. This is amazing.
yeah, yeah. Now, do you have a favorite of the variety of ways that you would engage? Because of course, there's writing your own material and kind of putting that forward. There's someone coming to you with a concept, and then you, if they're
Yeah.
willing to, you kind of helping to kind of rework it. And then I guess there's the spec ideas where they're you're getting someone else's brief overview of what they're looking for, and then you're trying to meet their what's in terms of that kind of back and forth massaging of a script that you have to do in any case. What's your favorite approach out of all of that?
I reduce everything to something incredibly simple. I say if we can do a one pager that covers the entire story, that gives you a lay of the land a little bit, and if we agree on this, then I will develop it into maybe 4 acts, so 4 pages. So every page begins with a problem, and we'll have a cliffhanger, so to speak. And then we'll keep working those 4 pages over and over and over again till we're very, very happy with it. Once we are, then I'll develop every sequence. A sequence, typically in a 19-minute movie, you'll have screenwriters who will work by 10-minute sequences. So every page becomes 10 minutes of screen time. So that gives you 9-page outline. So you see all the scenes, you see the major beats, you see where it's going, and then you do that. So just develop everything through stages as you go. So 1 pager, 4 pagers, 9 pages. That pretty much gives you the story. And if it's solid, and if it's dramatic on the page, then you go to script. Yeah, there's no point kind of over developing that. Then you go straight to script. Then you start working with that, and it's a lot of fun. But at least during that process, you constantly know what to expect. What I tend to do is if you come to me and you say, I've got an idea. Can you develop it? I don't have time to kind of babysit you through this. And I'll say, I'll come back with a 9 pager. So you'll have all the sequences in it, but I will also write the first sequence. So the first 10 minutes of the script, so that you can get a taste of a feel for the tone and the drama and in what direction we're going for. Because it's one thing reading an outline, but the moment you see it in the script, you go, whoa, this is completely different. I get what you're going for. And that process is incredibly important. Even for me, when I'm at the beginning of a project, I will always write kind of a test scene or a test sequence at the beginning because I need to hear the character. I need to hear the voice. And the moment I lock into a voice, then everything else is a lot of fun. Just finding that voice sometimes is pure agony. And one of the ways of doing this is casting your story. You're saying, I've got a thriller, a World War II thriller, a spy thriller. Who do I think would be amazing in this? Is it Brad Pitt? Brad Pitt in what role? Well, maybe in this movie. And then you try to kind of capture that voice a little bit and say, I think this would work. And then you dive in with that voice in your head. And then it grows from that.
Right.
And that keeps you on point on when you're having a really bad day, when things are just not coming to you. You go back to that movie that Brad Pitt did and just watch it a little bit. Suddenly you're like, yeah, right, the voice is there. It's back in your head. You go, got it. And then you dive right back in again. It's fun. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. And I can actually attest to that, because you were mentioning doing like 10 pages to kind of get a sense of the
Yeah.
tone or what have you.
Yeah.
There was another thing that we were kind of going back and forth on, and although the sort of story itself was kind of a different concept and wound up being something that was adjusted later, what was incredibly valuable about that was that you did actually set a tone, just in terms of the, you know, the description of environments, the way the character kind of engaged and interacted, and you know, the form of dialogue being used for each character.
Yeah.
Those, even though story wise it shifted a lot, that stuff was an invaluable element to retain and kind of create momentum for where the story went as well, I found. So sometimes people take for granted that, I think maybe the quality that can come, even though ideas can differ greatly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of it's hard, by the way. I know I keep saying this, but it's it's really, really difficult. And also, if you, as a screenwriter, if you do it right, it informs everything else, by the way. If you structure, so I was talking about 9 acts of 10 minutes gives you a 90-minute movie. You, as an actor, then can look at those 9 stages and say, emotionally, how do I progress or digress in this story? The wardrobe department might look at it and say, what are we doing with the wardrobe through? And we've got 9 different beats. What do we do with the wardrobe? Cinematographer will look at that and say, do we use 9 different color palettes for each sequence? Cinematographer will be looking at lenses, at ways of restricting kind of what we see, or maybe opening everything up. And he'll look at the 9 sequences, and that will give him or her a bit of kind of a template to work with. The moment it's there, it informs absolutely everything. Even the money people will look at it and say, now we could save a little bit of money here, but put everything in the third act, and maybe do something a bit bigger that's in the screenplay, which is something you will never hear, by the way. But it's always something nice to know. And so getting that right is really, really difficult. It's crucial because, again, it informs everything else to come.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if this is helpful, but I mean, when I think of the way we've worked together on
Mhm.
things, what I my sort of self stating philosophy is, you know, if there's something that I want to do, and I'm kind of making this a universal possibility, and see if you agree, you know, do the work and get the project on the page, even if you don't think you're a phenomenal screenwriter. But if
Mhm.
you think you have a really good idea, get as much of it onto the page as you can,
Yeah.
because when you've got someone with your level of experience, um, if the idea is solid, it opens up a lot of collaborative possibilities as well. And there's a lot that can be a really good idea that, you know, maybe needs some refinement. But I guess
Oh,
there's a limit to that probably as well, because
well, it's again, this industry is really weird. Some individuals will go, if I don't get paid, I don't do anything. And it's like, good luck to you, buddy. Whereas if you have nothing, we've got nothing to react on. We've got nothing to gauge or nothing to evaluate. We've got nothing to go on. So therefore, nothing happens, right? Even a partial script. The thing about a partial script is that if you get the beginning right, you might suddenly go, ooh, I see something there. So we should definitely begin to kind of develop that a bit further. But people don't want partial scripts. They want something that's executed and is there on the page. Even if it's not right, at least it's telling you a lot about the writer that they can deliver. They will finish. And if it's not the right project, that's fine. Then they'll probably hire you to do something else because you're the guy who finishes. Everybody's got a drawer or a chest full of screenplays that are not finished. It's the people that finish them that suddenly kind of demarcates you, and then you end up in a different bracket where saying how good is your execution from there. So that's a different kind of stage that you're in.
Yeah.
But if you manage to just do your job properly, right? Learn the craft, put it on page, be economical with it, be visual, be dramatic with it, and make sure that your characters pop. That if you were to take out the character tags out of it, are you able to tell who's talking, right? Just by how they're coming through, and make it dramatic and make sure that it builds properly, even if it's not the best story in the world. If the execution is there, and we were talking about this at the beginning, where you read one page of a screenplay and you go, "Oh, hang on, I think this guy's got it. Please continue for the next 89 pages. Please do not let me down."
Very good.
You can immediately tell. So then that becomes somebody you want to work with. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So finish it, whatever it takes, just finish it.
Right on. All right. Well, listen, I noticed the clock is running out, and so I am just going to say that it's been a pleasure to have you on here, Jan. And if anybody wants to sort of inquire about your services or anything like this, is there a way that you prefer to have them contact you, or you want to kind of keep it low key for now?
Uh, just get in touch with me directly or get in touch with Sebastian. He's got my email address. He'll forward anything on. But yeah, just get in touch. Have a bit of a chat.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, on the M2M project. Fight the darkness, keep truth and story, and we'll see you next time.